Item F, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Whitley Burkett and Associates Incorporated in the amount of $65,000 to perform a wastewater metering study as part of the dry weather flow monitor at 7th Avenue Capital Improvement Project.
In order for us to properly manage our sewer system, it's very important for the department to have reliable information on flow in our system. After the improvement, the relief improvement projects implemented back in 2003, the department experienced challenges mirroring the flow on the east side of the city. Our wastewater flow is discharged to two main trunk lines to our jointly owned treatment plant. One is the temporary line, and the second is this 7th Avenue line. As you, I am sure, you know very well, our system presents major challenges on the east side of El Camino due to lack of grade in our system. The main reason why the city experiencing this challenge, not being able to properly mirror the flow. The department is using historical data right now, historical data of existent before 2003, the date since the department wasn't able to really measure properly the flow at that location, and also utilizing our wastewater master plan information developed in 2000 for all of the needed purposes, including the operational cost allocation for the operation of the treatment plant. Since since the department experienced those challenges after 2003, were made many attempts to install and change, modify the mirror location on that line. All of our intent so far were unsuccessful. Reason why the department went out this year in April to with a RFP and ask the engineering community to come up with proposals for solutions, how the city would be more successful mirroring the flow at this location. 10 engineering firms responded. 4 of those were interviewed by the department, and Whitley and Burchett and Associates were deemed as the most qualified firm, and the department has a very high comfort level that based on their experience and their creative approach to come up with solution in this case, that they will be able to provide the city with a meaningful solution and recommendation. What would be the best approach for the city to take to be able to properly and reliably measure and mirror the flow at this major trunk line. The estimated cost for this study is $65,000 and $1,000. The city has a CIP project for the flow mirroring project. This, based on our proposed CIP, is a $100,000 included in our this year 10-11 CIP budget. It's very hard for us to estimate what the final cost for this improvement project will be. Depending on the proposal, what the consultant will come up with, maybe will be a very low cost improvement needed, And it's possible that the department will be able, even with this 65,000 design dollar, to still be in the estimated budget for this year of 100,000. But that is, I cannot guarantee you at this time. Depending on the recommendation what they will be able to come up with, then our CIP project proposed for approval for this year will need to be adjusted accordingly. My recommendation is for you to approve for the city manager to sign this contract, and I am here to answer any question what you might have.
Any questions on the item?
Through the chair, your last portion of your presentation, it seemed like you weren't sure how how this engineering firm was going to resolve the issue. So the question I have is, and then you went on to explain that we might need more than the additional amount. I mean, if we're approving a contract for $65,000, I would think that we're going to get an accurate monitor for, to read an accurate,
For the $65,000, the city will get a proposal, a recommendation, how to implement a reliable mirroring system at this location or at any other location which would deliver the same outcome. The 65,000 does not include the implementation of the solution, whatever that solution will be.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, Michael?
I have a few questions, just sort of background. And if I read this correctly, the problem that we're having with measuring the flow velocities was due to the actually increasing the diameter of the pipe and therefore reducing the flow velocity, and that caused some sediment to build up in there. I'm wondering, prior to this, did we have an accurate way of measuring this when this was still a 24-inch pipe? Were we measuring at that point?
It is my understanding that the reading back when before the improvement of that pipe was the readings were reliable, and the mirroring station worked properly, and that's the data still used by the department as historical data for any of our needs.
So our historical data then it's better than just a guess. It's
correct.
fairly
Absolutely.
accurate. And,
absolutely.
Okay. So then if we are getting missed readings now, chances are we're not dramatically overpaying for what we're paying. It's probably a modest difference in price.
The department feels very comfortable that probably the historical data is very close to the reality, and it is our opinion that very unlikely that the city overpays, or is a big difference between how much the city really pays us our share of the operational cost for the treatment plant right now. But certainly this is our assumption at this time, and that's why it's so important for us to be able to have a certainty and a reliable means to have readings on ongoing basis, not just for the operational, not just for the cost sharing of the treatment plant, but also for the proper management of the system, to really be able always to monitor what is the wet weather ratio, what is the fluctuation of in the flow of the system. Then those are very important information for us to be able then to come up with the proper strategies to basically including lowering our number of SSOs and to better manage the system. For development of our SSO reduction program will be also very important to have a reliable flow mirroring information.
And I'm assuming we did see a net benefit from increasing the pipe diameter to 36 inches. That's something, I guess, during wet weather seasons that was an issue prior to increasing the size.
Absolutely. This improvement was part of the capacity relief projects, which basically increased the capacity at that location and reduced the SSOs, the number of SSOs for the city. Okay. This was the first capacity relief projects implemented in the city.
Okay. And being that part of the problem with measuring has to do with this sediment building up in there, is it possible to periodically flush that system out and therefore get better results?
Yes, that was tried before and still just worked for a very short time, then didn't, the information wasn't reliable. You didn't know when will you say true reading, when you say false reading, and provide a difference reading, how close to that flushing you were, or how often, how you clean that pipe. How I said, certainly this was always important for the department, and they really tried many times, including with consultant support to come up with a solution. This time, I think what is different in our approach is actually instead of us coming up with the solution and then help a consultant helping implementing a solution, our RFP really was focusing on describing all of our prior intent, what already was done during these few years, and to ask the expert community who has extensive experience in this area to come up with creative solution which would meet our specific situation here to come up with the best solution, how to read our flow in a ongoing, reliable manner.
And the scope of their study then would be strictly focused on getting accurate measurements, not in any other way improving the collection of silt in there or any other kind of design flaws in the system.
Absolutely. The scope of their services will be to come up with a solution, what solution to implement to mirror our flow.
Okay. And my last question, I promise. If these funds there's capital improvement funds that are going to be used for this, if we didn't use those funds for this, could those funds be used in another fashion that might be related to, say, some of the issues we're having with SSOs, specifically related to some of the trouble we've gotten into because of the SSOs? Say something, if we were to somehow, an agency or a group were to mandate that we make some other improvement somewhere, could we take that money and use it in that fashion instead?
This funding comes out of the Wastewater Enterprise Fund, and yes, you can reallocate those funds based on the need, and certainly would be your decision to make those decisions. It is our assessment that in order for us to be able to come up with proper strategy how to lower our number of SSOs, having this in place will improve our information base and enable us to come up with better solutions how to reduce our SSOs. But specifically to your question, yes, this fund could be used for any other SSO reduction specific project.
If I could just make an additional comment that the director didn't say but follows on to what she just said, and it is that the response to some of the SSO difficulties that the city has experienced, the litigation that we're engaged in, the regional board conversations about solutions, relies in a very general but overriding sense on information available to and completion of careful oversight and management of the system in all aspects of its operation. This is a component of the ability to obtain information and manage the system. So I would suggest that while those funds could be redeployed, and there are numerous different types of projects that need attention and that will be receiving attention, this is one that contributes very directly to the overall objective that our efforts are working towards in reducing SSOs and maintaining reliable and steady system operations.
Okay. Any questions? Speaker?
Robert Rico, 7th Avenue. I just had a question on the $65,000 contract amount. In the past, we have heard contracts are fixed price, not to exceed. Some contract prices include contingencies. Is there contingencies in this? Is this a not to exceed? Are we guaranteed to have to spend the $65,000? Is there any way that we can get what we're looking for anything under that? It just sometimes the contracts are awarded one way and sometimes different, and so I just kind of would like to understand how this one is structured. Thank you.
This contract doesn't have any contingency included in the contract, and this contract will be a not to exceed that dollar amount.
It will be not to exceed?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
Yes.
No, I have no question.
A few questions, so I feel bad, Michael. Here's my understanding is that back in 2003, we went from 24-inch to 36-inch. We haven't had accurate readings, and therefore we've been using historical data, which you think is unlikely or probably that we haven't been overcharged. Is that a fair statement?
It is correct.
Okay, so we don't have, and why don't we have an efficient flow meter today? That's just because of the change, but I guess I'm trying to understand we're in several years later, and yet we don't have a measuring a water flow. We've gone to get consultant support, but now we want a consultant to tell us what I guess didn't work before. So that I'm trying to understand. I'd also like to know who sat on the rating committee that interviewed the folks, and who within our department has the expertise in this area.
The project manager, well, first I will just answer you the first question. How I indicated, this was the focus of the department since 2003. The department tried a few times unsuccessfully. They thought that they were successful hiring a consultant and in installing those flow meter stations, and they just didn't work. That's the reason why is so high degree of focus on this project and the need to come up with a workable solution for this problem. The project manager for this project is Robert Howard, the Deputy for Operation and Maintenance. He is an expert in sewer technical issues. He has a very broad background in management of sewer treatment plant and system. Other two, the acting city engineer and, if I recall right, Jim Shannon. The three of them were on the interview panel, and they interviewed the four firms and made recommendation and made that choice for the selection of the consultant firm. This firm never worked with the city before, and the main criteria on what they really based their decision and was a very extensive discussion at the department level. The main reason was their creative approach and their intent to really try to come up with the less expensive but the most feasible solution in this case.
In the pipes, you talked about silt, that, if I said it correctly, that it has been building up. So how do you measure it today? How are you gauging that it's increased, and what methodology do we use to clean it? You're saying that you tried to flush it and that doesn't work. So is there anything that is done in order, A, to get proper measurement, 2, in order to have any cleaning done?
The department try ongoingly to flush and to clean and to see if they still have reliable reading. The answer was no. They is a cleaning program for that whole section of the system, and yes, this 7th Avenue pipe is also cleaned and flushed. And how I indicated, still the department does not getting reliable mirroring information.
And maybe I missed it, but how are we measuring it? I understand you're talking about the clean, but how do you measure that it's 1 inch, 2 inch, whatever is within the pipes? How are we accurately measuring that? We're not.
You are not. That
Okay.
was my
So
answer.
we are not, and so we don't know if the levels, if they fluctuate, if they sit stagnant. We're not able to flush them out. We haven't had accurate readings since 2003. And what I did is I went online. Maybe that was my mistake. So I was trying to learn about this. There was something like a bucket dredge or something like that. That sometimes maybe it's an expensive item, but or mechanism, but that can be done also. I'm just trying to better understand is why 2003 versus 2010. And I understand it sounds like this is an important meter that we need because we want accuracy. We want to know what we're being charged. And I don't know if there's been a difference from South City to San Bruno, and I guess I'm trying to understand what's prompting this all of a sudden, even though it's been a high priority, but it seems we're prompting this now because we haven't been able to locate a meter accurately, I guess. That's what I'm understanding.
The reason why is now that is a consultant contract which was for a $65,000 and is brought for your approval. The department was working using operational funds until now to really come up with solutions, including monitoring, how is included in the report, that monitoring the sediment load, the variations, the changes in the sediment load, to try to come up with some kind of reliable formula, how you can use those changes and still extrapolate and to use those readings to a certain level. But all of those work didn't bring the result what the department was expecting, and just none of those solutions worked so far. And that's why the department is still seeking solutions, just not accepting the fact that is no solution. It's our intent to start the development of our wastewater master plan this year, and is another urgency for us in order for us to have good enough, reliable information for not just for how I said, for the cost share for the treatment plan, but also for the development update of our wastewater master plan will be very important as the first phase to have information available to us to update our wastewater master plan and also to be able to incorporate our SSO reduction plan, and all of those strategies which will be developed by us.
Okay, so this goes forward, you go out, you get the consultant's report, it comes back, it gives solutions, we're not sure of the cost. How long does that take to come back to council in order to come up with a solution that's viable, than to go out and actually get a meter installed or flow device so that we have accurate readings and we have not historical data? Because I always believe in trusting but verify, and this is no way. I wouldn't want, personally, if I didn't have a meter at the house, I don't want the finance department to say, well, here's what historically you paid, so this is what we want you to pay this time. I'd say, well, wait a minute, I think I'm using less, honestly. So how are we going to come to that resolve?
Based on our proposed CIP, is included in our project description to have a solution. By
2010 if needed.
To have a solution implemented by June 2012, if, depending on the solution what the consultant will be able to come up with. It's our intent to, our hope that the consultant will be able to, maybe I was using a very bad choice of word. It certainly is much more than hope. It is our expectation that the consultant will make a recommendation in the next 6 months. And depending on the recommendation, and that's why I am so concerned making any commitment, depending on the solution, then will be a certain implementation time frame and cost associated with that implementation. If the implementation will be a low-cost solution and the implementation can happen in 2-3 months, then will happen in 2-3 months. But if the recommendation will include some change and bigger construction in some system change, then can take longer. And I don't want to speculate, and that's why I am informing you of that uncertainty that depending on the recommendation will be a different time frame for the implementation at that time.
Thank you for your indulgence.
Anyone else?
One last comment?
Yes.
Thank you. If we were to contract for $65,000, and they give us a solution, and then we go and spend another 6 months and up to $100,000 to implement their solution, and we still don't have good readings, do we have any recourse? You said your staff had tried some things already. I'm sure there's a lot of bright people there that have tried some pretty ingenious things, and what if their solution doesn't work either?
Has to be a solution. And I am very confident that this is the best expert out there, and working with us, I am very confident that the consultant and the city, our department, will be able to come up with a feasible, implementable solution this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Action.
What are we talking about?
I've introduced the resolution.
I thought that this will be an easy item.
Should have put it on consent calendar.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
No.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.